Hi, this is Mr. McConley for BKW Intro to Agriculture. Today we're going to talk about something I couldn't miss this opportunity to talk about poor man's fertilizer. So we're here near the mid to later part of April, and we got a snowstorm that came up last night, and it dumped a few inches of snow. Hey kitty, come here. And dumped a few inches of snow on the ground, and with that came some nitrogen. Now, most people don't realize that because what the term poor man's fertilizer really means is the snow, as it falls down through the sky, will actually pull nitrogen out of the air. Now, let's stop for a minute and talk about nitrogen. So 78% of the atmosphere around the Earth is nitrogen. But that nitrogen, in its form, it's very inert in its form in the atmosphere, and it can't be used. The plants wouldn't be able to use it. So what happens is that inert nitrogen gets knocked out of the sky by the snow as it falls. And then when it falls to the ground, it has to be what's called fixed, F-I-X-E-D, fixed. And when it's fixed, what happens is the microbes in the soil will work on that nitrogen and change it to a form where the plants can use it to feed and to grow. So the nitrogen has to be fixed. Now, the other thing I was going to say is that typically if we get a winter where there's a good amount of snowfall, will actually be pulling and putting in the soil 12 pounds per acre of nitrogen. Now, Farmer Andrew, how much nitrogen is actually needed or wanted if you're planting corn around this area with the clay soils?
So whether you're planting like a dairy farm or sweet corn, you need about 120 to 140 pounds of nitrogen, depending on exactly what your soil is.
Okay, so if we're talking that we might get 12 pounds per acre, we're at about 10% of nitrogen that you would want to be putting in soil. So that's no small potatoes. That's actually quite a bit of nitrogen and very useful and really helps the farmer out. So when we get these snowstorms, especially heavy snowstorms towards the end of the year, and it knocks a lot out of the sky, that's really a good thing. The other thing to think about is, so as we get more and more pollution in the air from factories and vehicles and whatnot, that actually, although a negative environmentally, is a positive for nitrogen, because all that pollution that's in the sky will actually get knocked out by the snow, and so you get a higher percentage of nitrogen as it comes down, and therefore fertilizing the ground even better. So that's probably one benefit that you can think of with more pollution. So people often ask the question, does rain knock nitrogen out of the air the same way snow does? And the answer is yes. In fact, rain knocks more nitrogen out of the air, but it's not as good for fertilization purposes. And you might think, well, why if it's knocking more out of the air? Because when it rains, it comes down quickly and it tends to run off or wash away. And that nitrogen never really gets down into the soil where the plants can use it. The snow, however, will come down, and then it has the nitrogen, it has picked up nitrogen on the way, and it will take that nitrogen and it will lay it there in a blanket on the ground, and then it slowly releases it as the snow melts and is much better for the soil. Added benefits to snow on the ground at this time of year is as the soil thaws out, it heaves. And when soil heaves, it can push the roots of fragile plants up near the surface. And then if you get a cold snap at night or a real windy, cold stretch of weather, you can actually damage those roots. So the snow acts as a protective mulch layer almost, and it will protect from wind, freezing temperatures, and those sort of things. So it actually has quite a few benefits. The other thing I was going to talk about is the fact that snow can also just be fun. So this is a little bit off the topic of intro to agriculture, but you know, at this time of year, it might be your last opportunity to make a nice snowball or make a snowman or take a ski one more time or even take the snowmobile for a rip around the yard. Oh, just missed the tree. So for today, I'm Mr. McConley with Intro to Agriculture.